for the start of a weekend reading vlog. It is bright and early on Friday morning. Today is a work from home day. The weather is looking pretty grey, so I'm thinking I'm going to read for an hour before I start work this morning. But yeah, I'm excited for my first weekend reading vlog. I don't have much on this weekend. I have a dinner tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Friday night I have Chinese New Year dinner with my family. But apart from that, I'll just kind of be chilling and doing a little bit of reading. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then please join me for my weekend of reading. I'm in the middle of 3 books at the moment. The physical book that I'm reading this is a bind up of 2 books. It's called With Love from the Murasaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa and translated by Eric Ozawa. But the book that I'm reading is the first of 2, which is called Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. And I think I'm over halfway through. So it's split in half and I'm up to there. So yeah, I've been really loving this. It's set in a tiny little bookshop in Japan on a street or in a town where pretty much every single shop are bookshops, and there's like hundreds of bookshops in this town. Apparently this is a real... my camera just fell on the floor. Yeah, apparently the place that this book is set in is a real place in like a town outside of Tokyo. So I would love to go. The next time I go to Japan, or the next time I go to Tokyo, I would love to go. I'll give a bit more in-depth updates on the books later when I'm doing my updates on each book that I'm reading. But the book that I'm in the middle of on my Kindle is Imagine Me, which is the next book in the Shadow Me series. I'm making my way through this series, just trying to get it finished off. I just want it to be over at this point. This is the last full-length novel in the series, so yeah, I'm liking it. I think I'm actually only 13% into that one, so that is going to take up a bit of my time today. And the audiobook that I'm listening to is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which I am obsessed with so far. I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but it's so fun. I like don't want it to end at this point. But yeah, those are the 3 books that I'm in the middle of, and I definitely want to be starting some new, hopefully physical books this weekend, and probably something on my Kindle. So yeah, those are the plans. I'm just gonna go and make myself a coffee and then get settled in to read a little bit more of With Love from the Murasaki Bookshop. So pretty. While that's going, I just wanted to talk about how I've been loving adding vitamin gummies to my morning routine. So at the moment I have pre and probiotic gummies and just multivitamins. They taste yum, and I feel like, I don't know, getting some goodness in. This is the best oat milk. It's actually so good. So I am going to take a break from work. It's lunchtime, but I'm not really that hungry yet. I had my breakfast a bit later this morning, so I wanted to do a little bit of a reading update from what I read before I started work this morning, and then I think I'm going to go for a walk and listen to an audiobook while I walk. And I also need to do a little bit of washing. So I might be able to finish The Bodyguard today, which would be nice. But yeah, so this morning before I started work, I read a little bit of With Love from the Murasaki bookshop, and I also continued on, I didn't read too much of this, but I read a little bit of Imagine Me on my Kindle, and I am loving this. It is so cute. It has the recognizable translated Japanese fiction vibe, which I am starting to love. I need to read some more Japanese translated fiction, but in this one we follow Tataki. Takako. In this one we follow Takako, and she has just been broken up with at the start of the book, and so she quits her job because they were working together. She lives in the city in Tokyo, and she falls into a kind of depression, and then her uncle reaches out to her, and he owns a bookshop in a little town outside of Tokyo where there are like hundreds and hundreds of bookstores. It's known for having so many secondhand bookstores. Like I said earlier, I really want to visit this town. It sounds so cute. But she basically packs up and leaves and goes to stay with her uncle at the bookstore. And I think she stays there for like a 6-month period. And over that time, she just basically falls in love with reading and books and shops. And there's a lot of like talking about just the love of literature, cafes in Tokyo, making friends. It's just really wholesome and sad at the same time, because the characters in this are going through some stuff. It's not always happy, but it's just really wholesome. So yeah, I'm loving that. I feel like I could probably finish this one today, the first book out of the 2 in the series. And then I also continued on with Imagine Me. This is the last full-length novel in the Shadow Me series, and at this point I really just want the series to end. I am still enjoying it, but it just is so long, and I do feel like the plot's getting a little bit crazy. Yeah, I feel like I can't really talk about this one too much, but I am glad to be slowly ticking away at it. And yeah, so I'm going to put an audiobook on, which is The Bodyguard, and keep going with that one. And I will see you in my next update. I am basically finished work for the day. And at this point in time, I don't really have any plans for the night. So my plans are that I'm going to be reading at this stage. Hopefully that doesn't change. We will see. So on my lunch break, I went on a walk and I did some washing. And while doing that, I finished The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I loved it. I just realized the outside noise. My balcony door was open and the outside noise was really loud from the birds, which is so sweet, but I don't even know if you could hear me. So yeah, I loved The Bodyguard. I was surprised. It was definitely a good one to listen to the audiobook of, and I don't know why more people don't talk about that audiobook. For me, it was perfect. I actually think it's a 5-star read. I need to think about it, sit on it a little bit more, but I can't really think of any faults that I have in it. It was just so fun. It was funny, cheesy funny, but in like that really fun, just rom-com-y kind of way. It was deep. There were times when I was driving yesterday and I was a bit teary and like swoony and just cute as well. I loved both of the main characters. So if you don't know, we follow Hannah, who is the bodyguard. So she's actually an executive protection agent, I think is the title. And right at the start, her mum passes away, and so she's dealing with that. And as like a coping mechanism, she goes into work, and her boyfriend, who works with her as another agent, dumps her the day after her mum died. So yeah, she's just kind of going through it at the moment. She is not having a great time, and her boss kind of takes her off duty for a while, and then her next case is to be put on guard for a celebrity, and that is this like insanely famous heartthrob, Jack Stapleton, and he's so sweet. I loved him. And so she goes thinking this is just going to be a normal job, and when she gets there, he basically has to convince her to be his fake girlfriend because his mum is really sick, and he doesn't want to make her nervous that something's going on in his life, that he needs a bodyguard, but he needs this bodyguard around. So when she shows up and she's this small pretty woman, he's like, perfect, you can be my fake girlfriend for my mum. And so it's like the funnest version of a fake dating trope, which is already something that I love. And I obviously don't want to spoil anything, but the third act conflict was actually like refreshing compared to that normal like miscommunication breakup. It was almost comical, but it was so good. And even those like intense kind of actiony scenes, because she is a bodyguard and there's a reason for it, so some things do happen, but even in those scenes there were funny moments. Like it never felt that intense. And yeah, the narrator was great. I need to save her as somebody to look up to see what else she narrates, because yeah, I really liked her. And it was also pretty much closed door in terms of spice for anybody who doesn't love that. And I did appreciate this because I was listening on audio. I don't love it when there's spicy scenes in an audiobook. And I would absolutely recommend listening to the audiobook. It was just a fun, cheesy, rom-com-y kind of book. I loved it, and I'm excited to watch the movie that's coming out. I don't know when that's released. I think we've still got a while, but I love that it's going to be Leighton Meester and Jared Padalecki. I feel like she's perfect for that role. The character of Hannah kind of gave Blair Waldorf vibe, not really, but she was a little bit cold and really smart, and I just feel like she would play this role very well. I don't think I pictured Jack really as Jared Padalecki, but I like him, so I am willing to give that a chance. And yeah, now that I've finished that, I do need to start a new audiobook, but I probably won't start that today. I'm thinking the next audiobook that I want to listen to is In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, because that's the next book in the Love Light Farms series that I started. Well, I read Love Light Farms like years ago at this point. I don't know why I didn't continue it on, but I have that audiobook ready on Libby. So yeah, I'm excited to get into that one. But tonight I will probably just keep on with the Murasaki bookshop. And if I feel like keep going on with the Shatter Me series, I will. I think I might. I'm not really in the mood for it right now. Yeah. I am going to do a tiny little get ready. I have my seltzer in a fancy glass because I'm still feeling a little bit rough from last night, and I feel like I just need something to perk me up a little bit while I get ready. We're just going to dinner with some friends who are staying in the area. They're from the country, and it's nothing fancy at all, so I'm just going to make myself look a little bit more refreshed. I have accidentally done 0 reading today because yeah, we didn't have plans last night, but I ended up going out and drinking a lot more than I expected that I would, and so I've basically just been like lazing around all day today and trying to make myself feel better before the dinner that we have on tonight. So let's get started. So first, my skin is looking a little bit dull, so I just want to make it look a little bit more glowy. I love this. I used to love I love the real version of this by Glow Recipe, but it's expensive. So I have the MCO Ultra Dew Serum. It smells, and in my opinion looks the exact same on my face. It does the same, it does feel a little bit different when you're putting it on, but it does the same effect. The lighting's not the best in here, but the same glowing effect. I'm just gonna let it dry down a little bit before I do the next step. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my hair. I'm feeling like I might just leave it natural, because I haven't actually worn it natural since I've been this color, and I kind of like what it looks like. I normally can't when my hair's brown because it just kind of looks messy, but I don't know, with like the lightness in my hair, I feel like the frizz kind of works. Anyway, I don't know if I should brush it out or not, if that will ruin it. So I don't want to put too much coverage on. I don't really want to put anything on, but my under eyes are struggling a little bit, so I'm just going to put a bit of concealer. I love the Maybelline Eraser. I use the shade 2. So I don't know how my weekend went from thinking that I'm going to be at home reading the entire time to me going out every night, because I've got my Chinese New Year dinner tomorrow as well. But it happened. So the veins, tuck my hair out of the way. So last night I met Joel in Manly for a drink at Felons on the wharf. I think I have a clip of us. We were just sitting right on the end, like on the beach, and it's so nice sitting there for a drink. They are expensive there though. And then we got the ferry into the city and met a friend who's here from the country. They were staying in the city last night, but now they've just moved up to the Northern Beaches for tonight. Yeah, we met him at a brewery at the Rocks, and then we went to like an Irish pub in the Rocks as well, which was cute. And then we got the ferry home. Ended up being way later than I thought, and I accidentally started drinking wine. I was drinking seltzers and then ginger beer at the brewery, and then I don't know why I decided to drink wine later in the night. It was a bit silly. I need to perk up a little bit. So that's all I'm gonna do for my base. It's nothing completely. I feel like the lighting as well is making my under eyes look a lot worse than they are. But that's fine. And then before I go in with powder products, I'm just gonna do a little bit of Glow Recipe blush. This is also, it's like the same, got all over my hands. It's like the same line as that serum, the watermelon serum, but in blush form. And this lasts, I feel like I bought them at the same time, and the serum obviously ran out like right away. Well, because you use up serums quicker, but this, because you just use the little dots each time, it just lasted a lot better. I've had it so long now that the packaging's starting to go, which is not fun. I normally dot this straight onto my face, which is probably not the best for keeping it going long term, but yeah, I normally, when I don't have makeup on, I like to use this. I feel like it just gives my face a nice blushy glow, but because I've got makeup on already, I've just done a couple of dots on my hands. I don't want to do too much because I'm going to do powder blush, but up here. So you can layer it up, but I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm going to do blush as well. So now I like to do a little bit of bronzer. These are pretty pigmented. I'll put quite a lot on. And then for blush. For blush, I love these Clinique cheek pops. I'm just gonna brush. I'm not gonna put any product on my brows. I feel like as soon as I brush my brows, my face looks more put together. I do a little bit of mascara so I curl my lashes. And even like on days when I'm not doing mascara, just curling my lashes makes my face look brighter as well. Do I do mascara? I mean, I have time, so why not? Damn it. I was really loving the Sky High by Maybelline in the brown colour, but I left it at work, so that's a bit annoying. I also love the Falsies by Maybelline, but this is a black, and I was just liking the brown. You can really build up this mascara nicely, but because I want my look to be a bit more natural, I'm gonna leave it at that natural a little bit. That is good enough. And when I'm not trying to do too much, I just like to use this Nivea colour. This is Blackberry Shine Nivea. It's a natural. So I'll bring that with me, and it's not a stain, but I feel like it, like even when I eat, the tone of the colour kind of stays on my lips. So I'm gonna part my hair and see if I feel like I can not brush it. So annoying. I just kind of run my fingers through it. I feel like if I brush it, it's gonna ruin these waves. So I just want to try and run my hand through it and see if I can make it work. I think that's good. It's good to know that I can just leave my hair to air dry now that I'm this color. I think just the lighter, like something to do with how the light hits it makes it look nice. When I'm dark, it just looks messy. I don't know. Cheers. Just gonna get dressed, and then I think it'll almost be time to go. Okay, I'm ready. Like I said, it's not the most dressy place we're going to, so. Okay, I'm gonna go, and probably won't do any more reading tonight because I'm drinking again, but I'll probably check in the morning. Good morning, it is Sunday morning. I've had a kind of a nice slower start to the morning. I woke up and did a little bit of reading. As you probably saw, my weekend got a little bit derailed on Friday night. I thought that I would just be reading Friday night and yesterday, Saturday as well, but I ended up going out on Friday night and we had a bit too much fun. It was fun though, but yeah, didn't get any reading done. And yesterday I was basically just recovering for most of the day before I had the dinner that we had planned for yesterday night. So that was fine. It's been a fun weekend, but I just didn't get as much reading done as I thought I would. But yesterday when I was a bit hungover, I was listening to the audiobook of In the Weeds, which is the second book in the Love Light Farms series by B.K. Borison. So I'm excited that I finally started that, and I'm gonna finally get through that series a bit more, but I'm not 100% loving it so far. I think I am I think I got about 30 or 40% into that audiobook yesterday, and I'm not entirely sure why it's not working for me at the moment, but if I compare it to The Bodyguard, the audiobook that I finished on Friday, I was so into that one. I didn't want it to end. But in this one we follow Beckett and Eve, and we met both of them in the first book in the series when Eve is a travel influencer. She's like got millions of followers, and she came to Stella's Christmas tree farm in the last book to write an article about them for a competition. And Beckett is the farmer on Stella's farm, and so we saw them meet, and there was this tension between them, and we found out that they had actually had a one-night stand in the last book. And so yeah, I was intrigued because in this one we start off seeing that Eve she's just not really loving her job. I think she's feeling a bit burnt out, and so she decides to tell her agent that she's going to be taking a few weeks off, and she wants to go to the last place that made her feel happy, and that place was Stella's Christmas tree farm. So after seeing them only kind of briefly interact in the last book and that kind of storyline, I was like, this is going to be a fun romance. And so on her first night in town, she hasn't actually booked any accommodation, and when she gets to the hotel in town, they're all out of rooms, and she just happens to bump into Beckett, and he offers to let her stay at his house on the farm. And so already, like, that's also fun. They've got like the close proximity because they're going to be living together. But something about this just isn't working for me. I think because they already had that one night stand in the last book, they both, because we follow them in dual POV chapters, and so we're in each of their heads, and you see they are really focused on the like sexual attraction that they feel for the other, but I'm not actually sensing any tension between them, and I feel like there's not enough relationship development yet. Anyway, I'm only like 30 to 40% through, so we will see if it gets better. But the parts that I am loving are, I'm loving being back in this little small town, being back with Stella and Layla on the farm, and I'm also loving meeting Beckett's family. So we met Beckett in the last one as Stella's one of the farmers on her farm, and he was like this kind of relaxed, pretty chilled, easygoing guy, but we were starting to find out through meeting his family that he does have a little bit more depth, which is cool. And his family are just fun. He's got only sisters, and they're just like a really sweet, fun family. I feel like that whole side of it and being back in the small town is making up for my lack of interest in the actual romance, which does kind of suck. Okay, so I've decided to move because it was just getting so hot sitting there, and we have a fan in here. It's so hot today. I was not expecting this, but I'm loving it. I need to get outside. It's looking beautiful out there. But yeah, in the weeds, I will continue making my way through, probably not today, but over the next few days. I do kind of most of my audiobook reading on the way to and from work, and when I'm doing housework as well, so I'll probably get a little bit more of that done over the week. But last night when we got home from dinner, we were just sitting there watching the Olympics, the winters, which are on at the moment, and I finished Days in the Murasaki bookshop. And I really did love this one. It was so sweet. So yeah, so this is a bind up of 2 books. So I finished the first book in the series, and I'm very intrigued to get into the second one. So that might be something that I start over the next few days. So I don't want to repeat what I've already said about this book yesterday, or no, on Friday, but it was that perfect, like, it just had all of the sweet little used bookshop, cafes in Japan, like that kind of vibe. There was also a trip that Takako goes on with her auntie to the mountains. They go to stay at this little inn outside of Tokyo in kind of like a countryer area, and they go for a hike to the mountains, and just the scenery, the description of the flowers, the rock climbing that they have to do. It was like a fun adventure that they went on, and it made me really inspired to go on an adventure. I don't know, I don't really have any trips like that coming up. The last thing we did was Tasmania last October, and we did do a few hikes. We've got Europe coming up in May, so it's still a little while away, but yeah, it just made me like really want to get out there. So I think I'm gonna go for a run after this. That'll just do something. The ending was very sweet, but we kind of skipped forward a year, and I wasn't expecting, like, there was this man that Takako kind of starts to meet over the course of the chapters, and you could tell she likes him. It's a very innocent kind of a writing style, which I liked. But yeah, she starts to like this guy, and I'm like, oh, excited for their development, but I could see that the book was coming to an end, so I thought that would happen in the second book. But then we just skipped to a year ahead, and now she's got a boyfriend, and that's him, I think. They don't even really explain that properly. So I hope that we get a little bit more of their relationship development in the second book. I'm very intrigued what that one's going to be about, because her life has kind of become separate from this little bookstore now. She only lived there for 6 months, and now she's kind of got her life back together. She's got a new job. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what the next one's going to be about. And then something I loved as well at the end, in the, not the author's note, in the translator's note. So all through the book, Takako, she's obviously exploring, she's finding her love for books, for reading, and she's exploring all of these different Japanese authors, and through finding them at the bookstore or through other characters telling her about these books, we hear about different Japanese books. And in the translator's note, he talks about which ones have already been translated into English and where you can find them and things like that, which was really cool. I would love to get a bit more into those and explore those books. And so that was Days at the Murasaki bookshop. I think overall I'm going to rate that one a 3.5 stars. The more I think about it, the more I like it. In when thinking about it, like when I finished it last night, I went on to Goodreads and I rated it 3 stars, but I think it's getting up closer to a 4-star read in my mind now, just because it was so nostalgic of being in Japan, and I don't know, the vibes were there, even if the plot was a little bit weak. And then, as I mentioned before, this morning when I woke up, before even getting out of bed, I continued on with Imagine Me, and I honestly don't have too much to say about this. Just making my way through the Shadow Me series, and I'm just willing this one to be good. I hope that it's at least a little bit entertaining, and I'm just kind of excited for the Shadow Me series to be over now. So those are the updates from the last couple of days. I don't have too much on for the first half of today. I want to get outside. I want to go for a run, maybe find some lunch somewhere. Joel is currently playing tennis with his mate, so when he gets back we might go find some lunch. And I have our family Chinese New Year dinner tonight at my auntie's house, which I'm so excited for. But apart from that, I will try and get a little bit more reading done. I was hoping to start a new book this weekend, but just with what the weekend turned out to be, I didn't, but that's fine. I'm happy I finished a book, and I'm continuing through the Shadow Me series. So I'll see you in my next update. I'm just checking in to close off this weekend reading vlog. We had such a great time at Chinese New Year dinner last night. Amazing food. Just, I always love being with my family, and the Chinese New Year dinners are always such a fun event. As I said, I didn't get as much reading done this weekend as I expected, but that's okay because I had a really great time with friends and with family, and you know, it was a fun weekend. So no regrets, but thank you for coming along. If you did enjoy this video, then please consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next one.